Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name's Dr. Qureshi, aka the Mind Doc, and today we're going to talk about angry people. So there's been several occasions in my time as a psychiatrist where I've encountered angry patients. Now it must be said at this point that the vast majority of my patients are peaceful, polite, and they engage really well with me, but a small minority of patients can present as angry. They could be manic and unsettled, they may be psychotic and agitated, and a certain number of patients just have an angry predisposition when it comes to their personality. Over the years, I've had punches thrown at me, which luckily I evaded. I've had chairs held in my direction, and I remember this one incident where a patient got very agitated and they threw a plant pot, and it just happened to hit me squarely in the chest. And I remember looking down at the ground and seeing the plant pot and thinking, did that really just happen? Recently I had a patient on the ward that was very unsettled. Thankfully he's doing much better now. But when he was agitated, he grabbed my colleague's wrist and started shaking him very aggressively, and we had to quickly act and intervene and de-escalate the situation. And no, I wasn't using the colleague as a human shield. The advice I'm going to give you can benefit you if you encounter an angry person in your household, in the workplace, or even a stranger that you may meet in a neutral venue. It's important to note that your response to the situation will vary depending on the specific set of circumstances. So whether you know the individual, whether you've made them angry for whatever reason, or whether they're just angry in general, and so on. Not all of these hints will work in every situation. You have to adapt yourself to the specific circumstances. For example, if an individual is spewing racist rhetoric in an angry manner, then you're not just going to stand there and listen to them quietly. So if that sounds interesting and you're likely to encounter an individual that looks like this, then let's get cracking. The first hint is to listen to what the individual has to say on the proviso that your safety is not compromised. Try and give them an opportunity to ventilate. You need to understand the circumstances of their anger, and the best way to do that is by listening carefully. Is their anger justified in some way? If their anger is proportional and as a result of a genuine mistake on your part, then don't become defensive, because becoming defensive will just escalate their anger. Rather, in that situation, it's best just to apologize and hold your hands up. Sometimes when people are angry, they can be very provocative, and that can trigger an emotional reaction within us, almost like a knee-jerk reaction. But in that moment in time, it's important to just focus on what the individual is trying to express. If you hone in on this message, you tend to focus less on the inflammatory language that they're using, and you're less likely to react negatively to their anger. Moreover, if you give them an opportunity to offload, this can really help to calm them down, and then you can shift your focus to trying to find a solution to the problem. I've seen this time and again with my patients. The most important thing is for them to feel listened to rather than interrupted. Additionally, a lot of arguments and anger can be caused by simple misunderstandings, and if you take the time to listen to the individual, then you may be able to clear up a simple misunderstanding and subvert a lot of anger and hatred. The next tip is to try and stay calm during the storm. If you're confronted by an angry individual, it's quite natural to feel angry and upset in response. If you respond calmly and stay in control, you're much more likely to diffuse the situation quickly. The challenge really is that these negative emotions, such as anger, hatred, jealousy, they can be rather infectious. So if you're faced with an individual displaying these emotions, it's very likely to rub off on you, and you might react in an angry manner. And if somebody's angry at you, it increases your own stress hormones as well, causing that fight or flight response. And it can cause your heart rate to increase, your blood pressure to increase, which is that sensation of your blood boiling. A good piece of advice here is to focus on your breathing. Try and take some deep breaths in and out, and what that can do is it stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, which serves to reduce your heart rate and reduce your blood pressure, and this can help you to relax during this tense encounter. If you're consciously aware of your own anger levels increasing significantly, then it can be a good idea to just take a break from the conversation, go for a walk, and try and calm yourself. This is particularly relevant if you're dealing with an angry person who's a family member, where you don't want to say something that you'll regret later. So it's a good idea to take a time out, calm yourself down, and come back and try and resolve the situation a little bit later when you're both calmer. The third point is don't take it personally if somebody's angry at you. We're going to talk later about physically exiting a situation if required, but it's important to emotionally exit the situation as well. Often a person's anger is simmering under the surface and has nothing whatsoever to do with you. So for example, the person may have had traumatic childhood experiences such as abuse, they may have their own life stresses, they may be in significant amounts of debt, a loved one may be terminally unwell, they may have their own physical issues, and often when a person is angry at somebody else, they can sometimes displace their anger onto an easier target, such as somebody they don't care about as much. So there can be a myriad of reasons why somebody is angry, and most of the time it's not anything to do with you. And that's an important point to know because studies have shown that if an individual knows that they're not the cause of somebody's anger, they're much more likely to react positively and calmly to somebody else's anger. On this point as well, try and avoid ego battles with the individual. Don't take it as a personal attack if somebody's angry at you. I think we all should try and reach a state where we can preserve our own self-esteem, where we're confident enough to preserve our own self-esteem without resorting to anger and hostility against the aggressor. The fourth point, broadly speaking, is your verbal communication. I'm going to divide this into two parts. One is your actual words, what you're saying, and the other is your tone of delivery. And when you're speaking to angry people, you can use phrases such as, I understand where you're coming from, I see your point, and these kind of phrases make the individual feel that they're being related to. This doesn't necessarily mean that you're accepting liability for their anger or that you're apologetic about the situation, but rather it can just help to de-escalate the situation. Try and refrain from personal attacks, insults, cursing, because this is a surefire bet to make them feel disrespected and resultantly even angrier. Also, try and maintain a calm and steady tone when it comes to your voice, regardless of how annoyed you are, because this can really help to keep emotions in check. So instead of saying, "Why the hell are you saying that?" you can say something along the lines of, "With respect." There's no need to say that. Much calmer tone and much less triggering for an individual who's already angry. The next point is the importance of non-verbal communication. For example, your body language and your posture. Try to use non-threatening body language. For example, don't make sudden threatening movements in the direction of the individual. Like that. Another example is patients who are angrily pacing around my clinic room. I don't tell them forcefully to sit down. Rather, I maintain a calm tone and I tell them politely that I'm going to be sitting down. It would be nice if they could sit down as well, and then we could address some of their questions and concerns. Then I sit down and it's much less threatening for them, and I can palpably see their anger levels diminishing. The sixth tip is to try and get the angry individual's views on a solution. You can say something along the lines of, "It's very clear that you're angry. Do you have any views on how we can resolve the situation?" And this can really calm them down, it can disperse their anger, and it can get their mental energies focused on trying to find a solution as opposed to being angry and resentful. Also, if you involve them in trying to find a solution, it can make them feel more valued, more respected, and they're much more likely to buy into that solution. The final point is to ensure your own safety. The vast majority of the time when people are angry, it doesn't end in physical violence. Nonetheless, that is a possibility. At work, we've got a number of strategies. For example, we use alarms, which we can pull if we're in a difficult situation. We can see the individual in pairs if there's a particular risk history. And we also try and sit closer to the door so that we can exit the situation swiftly if required. In everyday life, if you encounter an angry individual, it's very important for you, if you feel threatened, to exit the situation quickly. There's no condoning physical aggression or threats of violence, and you shouldn't tolerate that if somebody is like that towards you, and you should swiftly exit the situation to avoid an escalation. That's all, folks. Hope you found the video useful. And if you think about it in reverse, I'm sure that if you were the angry individual, and I'm sure there's times you've been angry, you'd want the person on the other side to adopt some of these strategies to help calm you and the situation down. Like always, thank you for watching the video. Give me a thumbs up, comment down below what you'd like to see, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.